I'm going to try to make this not that long, but we have to discuss it. If you watch my stream, my previous stream before this video, you may have seen a clip that was on Reddit that was, that I ended up posting a part of that because I really wanted people to hear what I had to say. Most importantly, Crystal Dynamics themselves. And I talk about the post-patch stuff, which we're going to discuss here in a little bit. But what's doing this game in right now is that it has this identity crisis. And some of that's brought upon themselves. A lot of it's brought because of the IP that it is. Before I get into that, though, we have to talk about this right here. This is the day one blog. I keep referencing it. I referenced it in my beta. Not the beta review, the full review. I referenced it in other videos and stuff that I'd been talking about this. This is what attracted me to this game. I did not want a Marvel Ultimate Alliance in 3D or better graphics, updated graphics. Not what I wanted. I did not want Marvel Mega Heroes. This is what this says. It says from the beginning, our overall vision was Marvel's Avengers, has always been one where players would assemble online to protect the Earth and battle the forces of AIM as a team. While the entire game can be played solo with companion AI, the game has been designed as a seamless online experience where players would transition from the single-player campaign to joining with friends in co-op missions as part of the Avengers initiative. That is in the day one blog. That is a goal worth trying to accomplish. That is awesome. That's what attracted me to the game. And that's how they've been promoting it, is this this idea. Yeah, there's a companion AI that if you want to play solo in certain portions, you can. But the game is about you and your friends, or matchmaking, other people, live people, playing as the Avengers, building them up. It was it was geared to be this online sort of RPG. And that was the strength of the game. Unfortunately, because of the IP that it attracts, it is going to get people that want it to be something that it was never even intended to be. Because of the modeling, it looks more, let's say, realistic. Per se, it's not cartoony. And a lot of folks, because they learned about these characters through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they're hyped on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A lot of people wanted Marvel Cinematic Universe, the game. And instead of, which is what they should have did, taken a firm stance and said, this is not what this is, and you build your game around what you wanted it to be, what you just said, I just quoted you. What ended up happening was we get to the post-patch, and the patch fixes all of these things, and yes, there's still problems. We'll get into all of that in a minute. But the main thing that frustrated me, along with the people that were in the chat and the other people that are obviously in this thread, this has 2.7 thousand upvotes in Play Avengers Reddit, and you can go watch that. I'm not gonna play it. All it is me being frustrated, saying what I'm about to say, and that is, the game's doing itself in trying to cater to single players. And that's why I say that it suffers from an identity crisis. It does not clearly have the capacity to try to please both crowds. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You can have online RPGs. There's plenty of them that exist that have certain missions and stuff that you can do by yourself. But the nitty gritty, the real stuff, is behind playing with other people, building guilds and clans and so forth, and running with your bros. That's what it is. This game is not Marvel Cinematic Universe, the game. It's not this linear experience. In fact, if that's what it was, I would have not even been interested in the game. This is not Spider-Man. This is not just Avengers with a Spider-Man with an Avengers skin, or Last of Us 2 for that matter with an Avengers skin, where it just takes you through all of this and you play as the characters here and there and you jump. The campaign exists and that's what you got. But the campaign was clearly just a launching point. It was like, okay, this kind of gives you perspective of the world that we are in. But the game is suffering from an identity crisis and it's doing itself in. And what I was frustrated with in this video is that they have Mega Marie, who I believe is the community manager. I'm sorry if I got her title wrong. She works for Crystal Dynamics. We know that. She posts what a lot of people had asked for, breaking down of the gear, and the artifacts and all of that stuff, what it does, just other random things. And in it, she throws in the fact that, and if I can, I will attempt to find it if I can. But there was a moment which, oh man, it really got me frustrated. And let me see if I can. I would like to find it because it's so important for the perspective, but I may not be able to find it because my inbox is flooded with that other stuff. Nonetheless, it was basically a post that she had posted in Reddit, and she had essentially what she was saying was that right now the gear drops, the exotic gear, which is the in-game content, that's the best type of stuff that you can get for your characters. You can get it in one of 2 missions right now. 3 missions total they listed. 1 isn't even out. So 2 total missions, right? And that mission was the Elite Heroic Hive, which is a single player mission. It's like 14 floors of basically fight enemies. And then you have this new hive that they came out with the patch, which is what we were playing here, which it was bugged out on me.
Y'all just have to.
Again, I'm not going to play it. At least the audio, but it was bugged out on me. You can see right here, we're on this floor. I couldn't get past. I'm on the last floor of this heroic gauntlet, and I couldn't get past it because the enemies wouldn't spawn. After I defeated the last enemy, that was it. This was on the last floor. But that wasn't my frustration. My frustration is the combination and the fact that I'm even playing this stupid damn mode because if I want the in-game content right now, that's what I had to do. I had to play the game single player because that's where they hit the exotic stuff. That's what they said. That's what the blog discussed, is that the exotic gear is behind this and that other mode, both of which are single player. So to recap, yes, we know that maybe raids are coming and stuff down the line. Not maybe. One they mentioned, I don't know if it's a raid, but it's called AIM Secret Labs. I think that's going to be multiplayer. It's not out yet. So right now, the best gear in the game is held behind a single player mode. Makes absolutely no sense when you consider what we just read. And that was the mistake that they made when they added the companion AI. Hilariously enough, I said that this was, I don't want to say I said it was going to happen. I said this was one of my worries. Is that they were going to try to cater too much to the single player folks. And in doing so, they end up pissing off both parties. However, you didn't even promote this like it was a single player experience or supposed to be played single player. That was your goal. And I just read you the day one blog. Clearly, that's what they say. Multiplayer is where it's at. Okay. So despite whoever's being pissed off, I'm not trying to crap on people that want to play single player games. There's a place and time for that. What I'm saying is the game wasn't even marketed with you in mind. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's single player games, there's multiplayer games. There's some games that have a little bit of both. And this game it tries to do that. The problem is the way it's designed, in its core design, there's no way that they could pull it off, have it be effective without pissing off one party. There's no way to do it. Mainly, the multiplayer guys got to get pissed off because they have to dumb down the levels and stuff like that because there's only so much that you can do with companion AI. No, I'm not talking about having you jump around characters and stuff like that, being able to control them all or playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance. That's not the point. What I'm saying is that character and you, let's say, playing with other people, there's a completely different dynamic that's added to the game in terms of the teamwork that you have to work together, right? And that you can design your maps with that in mind. However, if you have to always account for every single thing that or mode or game or what have you, not game, more so modes and the missions and such. If you have to always account for companion AI, then you have to dumb it down because there's only so much that they're going to be able to do. They can't get crazy creative. Hey, if they wanted to say, hey, you two break up over here, y'all two break up over here, stuff like that. That y'all go over here. Even if all four of you wanted to split up and go do your thing, and y'all had to do that, and you can build an entire design around that. That can't happen if it has to always account for the single player guys that only want to sit there and play and they don't have friends. And if you go through the Reddit, which is why I was a little bit surprised that so many people had agreed with me, there's a lot of folks that are like single player, which is weird to me. There's plenty of more. This is the only game in Marvel's like catalog, as far as they get it recently, that they've dropped. It's not even a whole lot of action or combat online RPGs anyway, right? Let alone with some Marvel, with a Marvel skin rather, in the Marvel's universe. So the problem is that it ends up pissing off both people, trying to appeal to both crowds, and that that is exactly, I don't know why I can't talk right now. That's exactly what I feared would happen. I love the combat. I love the way the game plays. I love the fact that the characters play so differently. I said that this was going to have a content problem, though, if they continued down this road of trying to appeal to those other types. This whole idea of, we're going to set it up like an online RPG, but then we're going to try to kind of gear you to playing as each character type of stuff. And you could see in some of the comments, not just on this post, but it was like, what the hell? Like, if I want to play as just Cap, that's it. That's fine. And I was like, well, that should be how it is. It's an online RPG after all. So look at the starting 6 characters as just starting builds, base builds. You're just not creating them. You know who they are because they're in the comic book. Patch comes out. I know a lot of people are talking about the book. I have no desire to sit here and get in an argument with people who didn't like the game, never was gonna like the game, hated the game because of what it was not, that it wasn't what they wanted it to be. They didn't like it and wasn't the type of game they wanted to play. I don't give a damn about what you got to say. That's not who I'm even aiming this video at. I'm talking about people that, have played this game. They were looking forward to the patch, fixed a lot of bugs. I could deal with the bugs. Should they be there? Absolutely not. Not in the capacity. I mean, I even remember playing Witcher, and that damn thing had glitches and stuff when it first came out. In this day and age, I just expect it to be that way, right? Unfortunately. However, I can deal with it even with this game. It wasn't just game destroying some of these bugs, but when you combine the bugs with the other stuff, it makes for bad taste. So, such as, well, you put all these exotic gear behind this single player mode that I have no desire to play it because I can't play with my bros. I can't play with my mods. All right, cool. Now I'm playing it and then it don't work. You can see where it's less tolerable. Then I even said that in the video. I was like, man, all right, it got bugged out on this last floor. If I just needed to wipe, whatever. But if I was playing with my bros, I'd be more inclined to do that. Now it's just frustrating because I'm having to do this tedious thing that I don't even want to do because you hid the exotic gear behind it. It's poor design. But that's where they made a mistake. And this is what I said at the end of that video. At some point, you have to commit to the crowd that's generally going to carry it. And that's going to be the guys that want to play a multiplayer. This is why so many people are frustrated with the matchmaking, because they want to play with other people. That's the strength of the game, is that it has that combat system. It has that RPG element. It's in the Marvel universe, but you can also play online with your bros, right? And that's what's attractive about it. To say, no, we're going to add this mode now. This video may be null and void a year down the line, but that's the problem. It shouldn't have had to happen a year down the line. Nonetheless, now the best gear is hid behind 2 single player modes. It's unacceptable, and all you're doing is pissing off a bunch of people. It's not. You cannot tolerate that, and I don't. And that's why I'm frustrated. That's why a lot of other people are frustrated. I know a lot of folks are going to talk about, well, the game, like, it had 1,000 or something. A lot of that stuff was fixes, like UI fixes and stuff like that, like quality of life stuff I don't even count in terms of like broken, like, makes the game unplayable. Like, it wasn't 1,000 of those. It was more of a little stuff. And some of that, though, was included, obviously, stuff that you couldn't get past the level and stuff. And it still has some problems with it, as you can see, post-patch with the new mode that they added. I don't know if it's the coronavirus thing, where these guys aren't linking up as much as they are. You see other games that have been pushed back and so forth, and maybe they needed to get delayed to iron some of those out. I didn't put these bugs, to be fair, I didn't get the bugs that I was dealing with. I wasn't getting those bugs in the beta for the most part. So they were new. They were additional. So why that happened, I'm not really here to discuss or dispute. My issue, however, is the fact that they are trying to please a crowd and they're dumbing the damn game down in the process, and they're doing boneheaded things, stupid things in terms of their design. I know some folks are like, well, the best of both worlds is to have it one or the other. Well, that's basically like creating two different games. That's a problem in the terms of how the game is designed now, right? It's not like, oh, well, this, yeah, they got the campaign, and that you would think that right there is for the single player. But at some point you have to jump from that and commit to what the game is. This is what games generally do that do have multiplayer elements. Though they may have a single player campaign or something like that, they have to commit, like Call of Duty, all the other games that feel, say what you will, but that's generally what happens. And even in like more open world online RPGs, you can walk over here, go do a mission here. I play Elder Scrolls online, but generally the best stuff, you need to be with other folk to really get to the nitty gritty. Though there are things that you can do single player. That was a way that they could have did it. But the companion AI thing was busted. I think that was a terrible idea. And now seeing it, at first I was like, I'll deal with it because maybe but now it's clearly breaking the game. It was a bad idea in terms of the design. It probably would have been better. And some people have mentioned it's like, why couldn't I just use Hulk himself and do this hive? Like that would have been maybe something that was tolerable, right? But this whole idea of trying to play with other, the companion AI and all of that, really the only reason that exists is because they're trying to bring in these guys that want to sit up here and always play it, and they are bogging this game down. Because it's not a campaign-driven, take you through the, game, interactive story type of game. I would have been frustrated if that's what it was. The uniqueness of it was the fact that it's not that. But yet, here we are. And now you have a bunch of people that wanted this game to be what it was, what it's actually marketed to be. Not what folks wanted it to be, how it was marketed to be. But because you're so worried about dragging these other dudes, you're bogging down your game. And that was the mistake. And that's what I feared. That's exactly what I feared with Marvel's Avengers. It's exactly what I feared. It's like I know that they don't have the capacity to be able to do it both ways. And it's impossible in terms of how this game is designed with drop into missions and stuff like that. It wouldn't make sense. You're going to piss off single player guys anyway. If you did have the best gear behind the multiplayer, they be frustrated. And the only reason it's like that, because you wouldn't expect that out of general online RPG anyway, or any MMO. They wouldn't gripe about that. It's only because it's the IP. It's Marvel's. It's Avengers. So you attracted all of those guys who just, I watch these movies. I love these movies. I want to just play it, goof around and play as the characters. And I was talking about this long before the game was even out. And it sucks to see it come to fruition, going down exactly the way I said it. And I'm not trying to crap on y'all. Say it. Maybe I am. But to the folks that like are in the Reddit forums trying to bog this game with your single player nonsense, I call you the game destroyers, because you were the ones that they're trying to please. And of course you weren't pleased anyway. Just as I said, it attracted a bunch of casuals and normies because of the type of game, not the type of game that it was, because of what the game, the fact that it's Marvel's Avengers. If it wasn't that, we wouldn't even be having this discussion. But you were going to attract a lot of those people who wanted this to be some sort of mindless beat 'em up that they can only play by themselves. And then they get frustrated when the best stuff is is only you're able to unlock it if you go through more complicated raids, which, that was what was going to frustrate them. But they trying to keep them along, right? All right, here, we're going to give you these single player stuff, or the multiplayer guys like, dude, you made the game supposedly for us. Why the hell are you? But because of the type of community that this is attracted, I don't know if this is going to get fixed. If it's going to get back on the rails, they have to get a grip on it right now. They got to get a grip on it right now. Otherwise it's going to be too late. And This is what I think they should have to do. They got to ditch the single player guys. Give them little stuff to do that's built into the game, but it's going to be what it's going to be. They're going to have to get over it. But you don't have the capacity to even build level. And it makes sense. Not even just it would be the technological capacity or anything. I'm talking specifically about how your game is designed. You are going to limit yourself trying to make this game, if a mission, this is why folks say, well, you should be able to do everything single player and multiplayer. That's the problem. That creates another issue, man. Because they're still going to have to bog the damn game down to account for your companion AI. And even if it was, I know people are, oh, well, we should be able to move around with the character. That still creates the same problem. Is that the missions can't be creative, stakes high, doing things simultaneously at the same time, being as creative as they possibly can. If they have to always account for this mission may be done with someone that doesn't play with his friends and wants to just play it by himself. This simply is not the game designed for. And that's what ends up happening. You try to appeal to the widest of demographics, and then you appeal to nobody when doing that. I really want this game to get this damn thing back on the track. We had so much fun playing it. Got to the end game stuff, and we're waiting for this patch. I mean, the patch really didn't even fix my main issue with it. As far as me being able to pick up dailies and stuff like that. Again, I never, thankfully, experienced like the game-breaking patches or anything. Bugs. Just some random things. Enemies weren't popping up. I had to reload the checkpoint. Thankfully, they have that mechanic in the game to where you can just reload the checkpoint, restart it, and go through with it. Like, I could deal with all of the other stuff, the little minor bugs that were there. But this crap that they're doing right now in this whole... It's a multiplayer game, but we're going to hide the best gear behind a single player mode that forces you to, it doesn't force you. You can play it with yourself with that one character if you want. You just can't die with them in that like a elite heroic hide. Because if you do, the idea is that character dies and then you select another one that's in your squad, but he has to be level 140. So basically they're or a high level. So they're expecting you to have to haven't played with at least 3 of the other characters, which is stupid. And this is what people in the Reddit was saying. Like, why would I want to do that? And this is what I was talking about. Go look at my Reddit post that sent people I did a video on it. We went through the entire post talking about how my Reddit post was a nuke. And that was one of the things I mentioned. I think I said in exact words, the incentive to main. And they have to go off of that because this game is, because the characters are so different, and definitely if they're playing with other people, you can't have duplicate characters anyway. So there are going to be people that are going to main with that character. Embrace that. There's nothing wrong with it. People main on every damn MMO. They don't generally create a bunch of damn characters. Some people do, but generally it's like, oh, this is my character and I want them to be the best that they can possibly be in the game. The guys don't want to play as Kamala Khan. Don't make them have to do it. Embrace the fact that people want to main. Makes sense in a way. It's an online multiplayer game, and you can't even have duplicates. Anyway, so the whole point is like, if I'm playing with 4 of my bros that I know are rock steady, or 3 of my bros that are rock steady, they get a character, I get a character. That's how we've been playing. We've been playing with Napa, Sheep City, and Elias, and they was Iron Man, Thor, and Black Widow, and it's a blast to play with them. Right? That's the strength of the game. Keep running away from that by trying to appeal to single player guys. I'm not crapping on single player guys and single player games. What I'm saying is the game wasn't built with you in mind, and because they're trying to cater to you, probably because of the IP, they're bogging a damn game down in the process. That's all.